The following mini-series is brought to you and sponsored by Universal Tile. Listener discretion is advised. So welcome back to Talking Fools. We have a very special guest on today. She's on with us right now. We've got to give her the intro she deserves. With us is Air Force Amy. I don't even know where to begin. I've read so much about her story. I've seen her. I've watched clips about her.
Seen the interviews. Yep.
Seen the interviews.
Amazing. Yeah.
There's so much to unpack here. I feel like you all know her from HBO's Catfish when that aired. You've seen her, but she's got a story to tell. She's on the line with us. Air Force Amy, welcome to the podcast. We are honored to have you on.
Ladies, you flatter me too much. Thank you for having me on. Thank you.
I got to tell you, a couple clips that I watched, I just instantly, and the reason why I wanted you on the podcast was because I'm like, there's a story to unpack here, a story that I didn't really hear everything I wanted to hear, or I think our viewers want to hear. So it's awesome to have you on. I have a couple little notes here. Let me just get my notepad.
Okay.
A lot of things to go over. Okay. Air Force Amy, MSNBC has called you a living legend in the world of sex.
Yeah. That was way back. That was way back when Rita Cosby was on MSNBC. She had come out to the Bunny Ranch, and I had put together a free sex for the military. If you could bring us your paper, your orders that you had served overseas, then you come in and get free sex, and Dennis would comp it. And what that would actually equal like $300.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, so it was Rita Cosby that coined that with me. That was funny on that interview too. She was like, I don't know where she found this information, but I had a brother who had sold me for half a pack of Winston cigarettes at the age of like 8 or 9, something like that. And I don't know where she found that. And she found that out, and she called me out on air. So, Amy, your brother sold you for half his pack of cigarettes. How did that make you feel? I'm shit. And I just say, yeah, well, you get lemons, you make lemonade, okay?
Oh, God.
Yeah.
Tell us, let's go to the beginning.
Yeah. The beginning of...
Tell us about you from the start.
Yeah.
Well, for the start, I grew up in a good Catholic family with 5 kids and an alcoholic father and a mother that's, what Mother's Little Helpers they had back then. They'd put you on, Valium and Yellow Jackets, uppers and downers, And my dad was a philandering drunk, and there was, incest in our family, and the boys got away with it, and I got thrown out, with the bathwater. So I was labeled 2-bit whore, and I was just really, it wasn't a bad, when I think about my childhood, I think of, and I remember like when we had ponies and horses, and I remember trail rides and just going out in the summer on these like day-long trail rides, and there'd just be the apples and pears and raspberries and blackberries and strawberries and cherries and pears, and plums. And that's what I remember of my childhood. I remember that, but I think I have everything else very neatly packed away. As a matter of fact, I know I do.
I think as we all do. I mean, Shab and I have talked about so many times about how you carry stuff in your backpack and how childhoods, what happens to you in your childhood stays with you forever.
But and the way I look at it is everything's a matter of perspective. So you pick it up, you look at it, you process it, let it go. And even if you don't do all that, it's just a matter of perspective. I could say I had a really shitty childhood, and then I did. Or I could say I had a really great childhood, and I did. So, people ask me the same thing about what it was like working for Dennis Hoff. And I just couldn't read that man. I couldn't get a good reading. And so I never knew. But if I thought I worked for a really bad guy, then I worked for a really bad guy, and it wasn't a really good place to work. But if I thought I worked for a really good guy, then I worked for a really good guy, and it'd be okay place to work. So everything's a matter of perspective. And I learned that a lot with the 12 steps. I had 7 years clean and sober on Sunday.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
Hey, that fantastic, Amy.
So
Yeah, it took a while. It took a long time to get there, man. I did a little bit and a little bit and a little bit, a year here, 2 years there, but I never really had it because the house doctor, the ranch doctors, when I first told him I was going to AA or 12-7, he said he prescribed me to Valium, and then I can't blame the doctor because that used to be a treatment for alcoholism. It was a belladonna treatment. They just gave me Valium. So I got this Valium, and I was just on it for like 15 years, and it always kept that door open because it was prescribed, and it said that I could get like I don't know, hundreds and hundreds a month and take it as needed, and I just always needed that shit. Okay, so so
was
that kept me the door was just a little bit open, so that just kept me really trying to get this thing clean and sober for like 30 years and never really being able to get it. But finally I got it, and I'm good. You know.
oh my
So
God.
so childhood was full of that. There was already addiction and incest and slandering, competition. There was a lot of competition in my family, huge competition. But like my brothers could do things like smoke cigarettes.
Competition in what sense?
Okay, my dad was a Golden Gloves boxer, semi-pro football player. Well, he was like man's man, and so you had to win. So, like my brothers they had to be number one in football and sports and stuff. Me, I was number one in equestrian, and you had to be number one in something, or else
If
you're a piece of shit.
wow,
Like
and how did they tell you that? That would be just something that was
no,
said.
you just gotta do it. Hey, and I was never gonna be anything more than a piece of shit. My dad hated me, man. They called me names. It was and I started skipping school and going out and drinking and dropping acid at the age of like 12, and my grades were catching up to me. Things were catching up to me. I was like, man, they're gonna beat the shit out of me. They're gonna kill me. And I just, and I ran away from home. I just left.
Are you?
And
Are your parents still around?
my mother is, I had to really decide if I was going to call her. I don't know.
Did
But I did. And it was good because you know what? I sent her a bunch of pictures of my cat, Butch, right? And like one picture of me. And she goes, those pictures, he's so photogenic. He takes such good pictures. You should put him online. So I opened an Instagram account for Butchie the other day. I got so excited because like the second day he's got 4 followers and I'm already someone's hit me up to for a sponsorship. They're like, yeah, just pick out 4 items and take pictures of them in it and send it to us. We'll put it up on our Instagram. I'm like, oh my God, he's already got a sponsorship. So I go look there and the items were like just like a little bow tie or a handkerchief or whatever, or a toy. And they were charging like $30-$40 for them, but you put VIP4 in there in the code and they'll send them to you. You just only have to pay shipping, which is $40.
crazy?
Holy smokes!
I'm like, who thinks this shit up, man? My God, I got so excited. I thought you already sponsorship.
What's Butch's Instagram page?
What's his Instagram?
Butch meows.
But way our listeners can go follow and support.
Yeah.
My house too. No, I'm just joking.
You know, I keep getting deplatformed. Here's the thing. Back in, again, I don't know, maybe 5-10 years ago, Sesta Fosta was supposed to help alleviate the online purchasing of, trafficking of women and children. But what it did was, so any platform can deplatform you, deactivate you if anything you do results in the exchange of sex for money. So even if I don't advertise that stuff on any platform, which I don't because I know better, just because some hater, anybody can go, she's a prostitute, and they deactivate me. 60,000, 20,000, 10,000 followers. I'm censored. I'm 100% censored. But every other prostitute in the world can do it because it's not famous. It's like gun control. You go after the people that have guns because you know where they are, or you can't do anything about all the illegal guns, so you just go after the legal hooker. I don't know. It's a crock of shit. But anyhow, okay. Yeah, go ahead.
I agree with you 100%. I don't even know where there's so much I want to ask you. I could probably keep you on this. I could keep we could keep her on for 24 hours.
Yeah.
This is what I need to know. Okay, so where were you born? Were you raised? Where was your early
I
childhood?
was born in Ohio, 20 miles east of Cleveland. I went
Nice.
to private parochial schools. I was Ohio State pony hunter jumper champ. My mom had me in acrobats, tap, ballet, gymnastics, and I hated all of them. I would get in trouble just so I wouldn't have to go to like ballet practice or tap practice or jazz practice. Or, I don't know what she thought I was going to be, man. But like we couldn't afford to get in all those classes. She would, or maybe we could, but she would sew all the costumes for the entire school at the end of the year, for the rehearsals. That's how I got all these classes free.
Right.
She would sew my equestrian uniforms, and they looked so stupid. I was so embarrassed, but I still, and I was up against Gates Mills, like really, really hooty tooty, really richy people, and I just beat them. I looked flat homemade outfit.
Right, right.
Yeah,
So, all right. So you're on your own. You're saying, is this true? At 13, you left. You're on
yeah.
your
My mom actually said yesterday, Sunday, she was like, "You left home. Well, you left home at." Because I told her I'm getting ready. I'm starting to write my memoir, and I shouldn't have told her that because she's definitely afraid of. I'm going to say something about the family, and don't say anything about your childhood. Like, what? I'm not going to name names. It doesn't matter. And she's like, "Well, it doesn't matter. You only had 12 years. You left when you were 12 anyhow."
Oh my God. Oh.
So
And you know what? It's hard for us, Amy, because like Shaba and we both have kids that like our oldest daughters are just about hers is 17, mine's gonna be 17, and her youngest is right there. So it's hard for us to
I,
envision what that looks like for like it's like
I
that.
know. I mean, I can't believe it myself.
So what did you
I have a
do?
chosen family, which is my hairdresser and their two kids, and their daughter is 13 now, and I just can't imagine her taking off and hitchhiking around the country. I just can't imagine it. And I mean, these truck drivers, like, that's the question is, what was going through your head when you picked up this 13-year-old girl and she got in your truck? Were you thinking that you were saving her from that truck stop? Were you hoping to you know, get laid by were you a pedophile? You know, questions
So
lie there.
based on what you just said there, I'm assuming that you didn't have a good experience when you were hitchhiking.
All the truck stops were I mean, they were incredibly the most dangerous and frightening place you could ever be in your life. These the girls, the other they call them lot lizards that would be working a lot. They didn't, you'd be on their territory, and they'd hang you up in the back of a truck. They'd cut out your pockets. I mean, you know, they're out to get you. And then you had the security that I'd be afraid I was going to get picked up and go to jail. And you had truck, and then you just had these different, what truck were you getting into? What was this guy going to do? It was really the truck stops were frightening. The road was fun, being on the road and traveling, rolling down the road in a convoy. That was exciting. Making cheese sandwiches and playing with the cassette tapes and playing on the CB and just rolling down the road. That was good. But the truck stops were fucking frightening.
How did you end up surviving at such a young age, though, Amy?
I don't know how I never got picked up by a pimp. That's what I don't know. Maybe I just carry myself a different way. Like, I don't need no man. I don't know how I got away with not getting picked up by a pimp. I guess because I was in the shopping malls. I don't know.
So,
But
so you're at this age, you're 13 or whatever. When do you decide? Like, how long are you doing this lifestyle? Does your lifestyle change from now until the time you go in the military?
well, so I'm like 13, somewhere between the age of 13 and 17. I'm in a truck stop and some dude and the guy picks me up and he says, "Oh, you're too pretty to be working out here. I'm gonna take you home to my boss." So basically, I was gifted to his boss, right? And the guy, and he was a Vietnam veteran and just a severe alcoholic. And I started getting my drink on with him, and he decided that he wasn't going to pay child support and he was going to go to jail. And he told me, he said, "You're going to have to go do something. I'm going to jail. You're going to have to figure something out. Go live with your grandmother, doing something." I said, fine, I'll join the Marines. And I went, and I had gotten a GED while I was living with him. So the Marines wouldn't take me because I had a GED. But the Air Force did. They're like, we'll take you. And I tested, and my score was really high. I'm a great test taker. God, I can take, I tested out an entire associate's degree. I'm a good test taker. But yeah, so between the ages of like 13 and 17, I would, stop off. I'd stop off here. I ended up living with the family for a few months, and and jump off here. Like once was in Galatia, New York, once was Fort Worth, Texas, another one was in New Jersey. And probably one of these situations, the man in the situation somehow secretively and covertly would sexually abuse me. And I'd get sick of it, and I'd just start drinking, and then, get up and leave again.
My God.
So, yeah. But I'm good.
No. I mean, it's about you. You're
I'm sorry?
resilient. You're
Yeah.
incredibly resilient.
For sure.
You're driven.
Yeah.
And from what I've seen in everything you do, like there's a drive in you, and maybe that's from your parents, maybe that's from your dad, maybe that's just inside of you. That's how you're built.
Yeah.
I mean,
I'm not going to lay down, I'm not going to lay down, keep on keeping on.
100%.
For sure. For sure.
So so Amy's in the military. You're young. You're a young female in the Air Force. You just came off of a few really hard, fucked up years, really living a hard, shitty life. Now you're in the military. What is that even like?
Well, my life didn't feel hard and shitty at the time. It didn't feel hard and shitty. It felt free. And it felt like, it felt like freedom is what it felt like. There was no rules. I guess the rules of the road. But so like I was on a delayed enlistment. I had for 3 months. I was gonna go into the military from Fort Worth because I knew another family down there that I had jumped off the road and stayed with for a while. So like, yeah, I'll go back down there. So I'm here checking around some more, and I'm living with this family, and I'm working at this Northeast 28th Street truck stop, which turned out to be like the most dangerous dangerous streets in America. I heard that like 20 years ago or something. Oh my God, I was working there.
Oh
It
my!
was really fucking. It was really scary, man. It's really fucking scary. Oh, no wonder I thought it was scary. Fuck. And so the night before, so I'm on, I'm doing drugs. I'm doing speed, and the truck drivers are all on speed, and drinking and stuff, and it comes to be the next day I'm supposed to go to the MEP station and go get in the military. So I was a Target, and I got this pastel. I can tell this pastel little blouse, and pastel capri pants, and some Keds, and I just look like the all-American girl, right? And I go to the MEP station, and let me tell you, they didn't take my blood that day. That tells you something. They knew they did not take my fucking blood. To this day, I don't know what my blood type is. Okay. Okay. Well, I had everybody fooled.
This concludes episode 1. We hope you're enjoying so far. We are just getting started with Air Force Amy, so stay tuned. More episodes to follow. Thank you to Universal Tile for sponsoring this mini-series and for allowing us to keep going.